It's been a year since we looked at this smartphone, so today I think we want to look at it again, but with a more usable state. Last year we looked at this phone running the stock TouchWiz, but this year I have rooted the phone and gotten rid of TouchWiz along with most other bloated Android apps, including the Play Store and Play Services. That, along with getting this working on T-Mobile 2G. So let's get this thing turned on so we can get to reviewing. As you can see here, we have arrived at the home screen and there's already apps crashing on me. We are running the CyanogenMod launcher. The reason why I did not install CyanogenMod itself is because I just wanted to have a lower version of Android to increase the system performance. But don't worry, it performs just as good, if not better, than actual CyanogenMod. If you're wondering how I rooted this phone, I will show you that. Unfortunately, I did have to resort to using a less favorable root option. Because Verizon locks their bootloaders, you could tell this is a Verizon by the previous review and the boot animation, I did unfortunately have to lean towards one-click rooting apps. I would have just flashed Super SU, the old version before it got sold, using Odin, but because this phone is designed not to accept custom binaries of any kind, I had to resort to using Kingo root. There are other rooting apps that work like it, but I found that Kingo root is the best reliable. King root didn't do anything, although I wouldn't want to use it anyways because it's just filled with ads, but Kingo root did, and we now have the Super User app on our home screen. Let's get looking at the specs. Inside we have a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus, even though it is not identifying itself as that. As you can see, under GPU it still says Qualcomm. Has a 720p OLED display. You can tell this is the same one from last year because of the burn-in. 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of storage on board. Nothing surprising there. And it identifies itself as the Samsung Galaxy S3 Verizon, running 4.4. I guess Kingo root must have found a way to root this thing, because everywhere all over the internet, including the XDA forums, said that if you tried doing anything like this to a Verizon S3, you'd run into a brick. But I guess I just proved them wrong, or something else has come up. Because it was running 4.4 last year, it was running 4.4 when I rooted the device, and of course it's still running 4.4 now. The battery, it's definitely degrading. It still works fine. As you can see, it just dropped 1%, but the charger has been connected 7,200 times, which is probably why the battery life is horrible on these phones. I don't know if that's the number of charge cycles or just the amount of times something has been plugged into the dock connector. I'm going to skip over network and apps because it just shows personal data. In the camera, we have the 8 megapixel front-facing camera, or rear-facing. The actual selfie camera is 2 megapixels. And here are all the sensors. So with the specs out of the way, let's get to the number one app people usually look for when buying an Android device. That is YouTube. Someone backported NewPipe to Android 4.4. It is called BravePipe Kitkat. Unlike SkyTube, which I showed last year, you can actually play videos in full HD 1080p. It loads YouTube channels really quickly. You can subscribe, although it doesn't actually add to their subscriber count. And I can even play a video.
Have you guys ever been scrolling through eBay and noticed all of those Apple and tech mystery boxes?
As you can see, I can pump it up to 1080p, although it'll probably encounter a network error, which is what I came through there. I haven't really noticed a difference in 720 and 1080 because this is a 720p display that this phone has. When you're using Via browser, the OLED display really kicks. It's really dark on the screen. Even on the latest version of Via browser, which is probably the best browser for legacy Android, Google still has the old layout. Galaxy S3, Google search works fine. Now it loads the more modern UI. As you can see here, someone on XDA forums said that there was absolutely no way to unlock the bootloader on Kitkat or newer. And I know you can get temporary root with a locked bootloader, but Kingo stays after rebooting, which is strange. Can't run custom ROMs or custom recovery. Have not tried that, but maybe you can run root with a locked bootloader or with the S3 Verizon model. So I know the S7 and newer definitely cannot be rooted. It scrolls through websites really smooth. How about some gaming? Let's try something very, very basic that almost every phone can run. Refresh rate. Oh, I messed up. As I was saying before I crashed, the refresh rate, 60 Hertz, but it is still really smooth on an OLED display. I believe this is Subway Surfers V 1.0, so I'm not surprised it can do this. How about emulation? I tried PS1 emulation, but the app just crashes. Probably due to some licensing issues. Let's try bootleg Fruit Ninja. I extracted this app from a phone. Tell me in the comments what phone do you think this was extracted from. I'll give you a hint. It was reviewed by S'mores and he said it was pretty terrible. Anyways, let's play. This app actually has more modes than the real Fruit Ninja. At least before the 5th anniversary edition. Let's try Pipeline. My camera's recording at a lower frame rate than this display, so it's a little hard to play. Let's try out some DS emulation. Nintendo, before you come after me for downloading emulators, please note that I own this game and this system. I actually have 2 of these systems. It is loading. Menu seems to be fine. Let's get some gameplay. It is not running very well. Nintendo, if you're gonna copyright strike me, at least make this game playable on Switch 2. The game seems to be running fine, but the menu is really choppy. I can definitely see some frame drops here. Let's try some PSP now. This game is a classic. I chose a 2D game because you saw how it ran New Super Mario Bros. So I'm gonna go a little bit easy on it. Yeah, you can see it's a little choppy. I'm gonna turn the volume down because I don't want to I know this game has copyrighted music in it. I think time attack mode's fine. Once again, like, getting into the gameplay is fine, but the menu really struggles. Obviously, newer apps aren't going to work. Like Topgolf, it just opens and then just crashes. The McDonald's app does open, but you can't actually do anything with it because you can't sign in. I turned location services off because it was causing problems, but ooh, look at these old deals from 2019 before they started inflating everything. Kind of miss these, to be honest with you. I've only been filming for about 15 minutes and already the battery's dropped to 60%, so that just shows you 7,100 charger plugins, what that does to a phone. But unfortunately, there aren't many alternatives to the Google Play Store. When I try to load Aurora Store, it looks like it's gonna work, then it crashes. So this is the Samsung Galaxy S3 in 2025. Rooting it is a must if you want to get anywhere with it, to be honest, because TouchWiz is just so slow. Sure, it looks nice, but unless you grew up with it, I wouldn't use it. So what can you do with this thing? Once you have rooted, got rid of the TouchWiz, got this launcher, you can use this camera. It is 8 megapixels. It does what you expect an 8 megapixel camera to do. You can browse the internet. It still works fine. Just the layout on some pages is broken. You may want to spoof your user agent to Windows Chrome. That seems to help with getting APK Mirror to load. You can also watch YouTube videos and play music out of BravePipe. I've played music out of BravePipe and I've never had a hiccup with it. I've heard Instagram Lite works, although I haven't tested it. I forgot to test Dropbox, but Dropbox works fine. You can still connect to your computer, use Dropbox to send files to your computer, which is what I use to get files onto this phone. Because for some strange reason, my Mac will not recognize this phone when I plug it in, nor will the phone recognize there's even a cable plugged into it, so it won't even charge. When that happens, I either just take out the memory card, which I don't want to because I normally have a case on this to prevent the back from getting all fingerprinty, or I just use Dropbox, which still works fine on Android 4. The frame rate of the app is really quick. It's nice and snappy, having everything else removed. Dropbox does not require Google Play services at all. What else can you do with this thing? You can play DS games, play some PSP games. WhatsApp doesn't work. You need Android 5. Letterbox doesn't work. I got the phone working on T-Mobile 2G using a Mint Mobile trial SIM, and I have not had the disconnecting issue. Probably because this is a Verizon branded S3 that probably isn't on T-Mobile's 2G only device list, so it probably doesn't get detected. You can play some old Android games on this thing. You are running Kitkat, so you still do have 32-bit support. Yes, if you do get a full root, you can install Android 7 on this thing. But that's about it for the Galaxy S3 in 2025. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you again in the next one. Bye.